Tonight we're going to be reading the book that we've been reading for quite a while now. This is how much we've read, almost half the book of The Vestures of Light and the Rod of Wonder. So, I believe we're on chapter 13, which is called The Dragon Stick, which is pretty interesting. I called tonight's show Faith because we're going to need a lot of that coming up in the next few days, weeks, months, years. We should have faith, but we're going to need a lot more, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why I feel like people don't have as much faith as they should, and I don't mean necessarily anybody listening to the show, but just people in general, is because of something that Robert Farrell says all the time, and I agree, is that people can't even read the chapter of faith in the canon without losing their faith, because the chapter that speaks about faith, most of what it's talking about is basically extra biblical or extra canonical writings. So, like I say all the time, a lot of the things that we read in the canon are pointing to other books. For instance, what I read in this Bible the other night, the color-coded Bible, I don't know if anyone new here didn't see it, but it color codes it according to what it's talking about. That Bible tells you that Jude is talking about a Jewish, like, historical document, and it's not saying that Enoch is actually, seventh from Adam prophesying, which means he's a prophet. It doesn't give him a prophet status, what it should. And I really think that God chose Enoch and Elijah as the two witnesses for a very specific reason. And if Christ, you got to think about that for a second. If I believe that Jesus is God. If you believe Jesus is God, then you should respect his decision. He made you and me and us as beings to praise him. And if he had, the forethought to create you and me and everyone that he's made, then we should give him his credit when he chose certain people to do certain tasks. Those two men were very special in the Bible, Elijah the Tishbite, and also the prophet Enoch, seventh from Adam. He was specifically designed to combat the evil workings of Cain's Enoch. He was chosen for a time. So imagine that. Imagine Cain's son was doing all sorts of magic for almost like hundreds of years, really, because that's how long people lived back then. And then the seventh generation from Adam comes Enoch, and he is created to combat that evil, and he then becomes the leader of all righteous people to lead them. They begged him to lead them. And yet our people of our time, they don't even give the fact, the fact that Ethiopia kept Enoch in their canon any credit. They don't even acknowledge that fact, as if, and I say that, and it's not a race thing. It's not a race thing. It's an evil thing to think that because we as Americans have more money than, say, Ethiopia, which, is only true because, we have the Federal Reserve System. So technically we really don't have as more money than them. It just appears that we have more money than them. But when did money become the thing that makes you more important than someone else? That's according to the devil's rules, not God's rules, really, because God chooses the people that are, lowly to run his things, right? He chooses the humble and the meek. Those are the people that are going to inherit the earth. Those are the people that during the time when Israel was taken over, the people that were like almost like homeless, the super, super poor, they weren't bothered by the armies that came in and invaded. They were left to till the ground and to take care of the land because the armies just let them be. They didn't bother them. They bothered the rich and the powerful and the mighty of the land. And those same people that were powerful and mighty and all that stuff originally, they kind of chose their fate by making, idols to worship and to sacrifice to Moloch and all these other things that they chose to do that were against the ways of God. And then you see what happens when you do something like that. You go, even the good people like Daniel probably wasn't doing that stuff, but it caused the entire country to go into turmoil. And then you see that Daniel and all of his friends become mighty people in their own right in their land once they were taken captive. But then they're go into turmoil and hard times because then they won't bow down to the idols that Nebuchadnezzar has set up. But then they're tried in the fire and they come out the other side okay. But you see what I'm talking about? There's so many things that we just don't acknowledge as Christians that have happened to God's people in the past. And yet everybody's always like, David Jeremiah and all these pastors on TV and stuff, they're always talking about Israel, all this stuff. But they don't acknowledge the fact that America right now is just like Israel was before they were judged. They don't talk about it. It's like it's a blindness that's sickening. And this is only in churchianity type stuff. This isn't even talking about the extra biblical books that we should be reading and should be talking about. This is only on their, churchianity side that I'm talking about. So it's just insane about the current state of the church. But enough of me ranting for a moment. A couple people had, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of a mess right now. I was making hiking sticks. So, Musical Evangelist is here. He had commissioned me to make him a hiking stick. Thank you for asking about that. Thank you for, asking me to do that for you. And this is what I came up with for his hiking stick. I've had this one drying for a long time. I took the bark off of it, so I'll start with, so this would be the bottom if it was in the woods. This would be the bottom of the hiking stick. It's kind of funny, the title of tonight's chapter is The Dragon Stick, but so this is the top. This would have been in the ground, and then this is the side, and this is probably the best way to view this actually is on video, the best detail. And then as I was taking the bark off, it just was absolutely beautiful underneath the bark. You very rarely see this kind of, tree underneath the bark. It's usually just like one color, maybe a couple imperfections, but absolutely stunning. Look at this, like some of these markings that are underneath here. And trying to get all of that into the camera angle, but look at this, all the way down the entire hiking stick is just absolute beauty. There was a couple knots right here I had to get out, but other than that, it was absolutely unbelievable, even at the bottom. So there's almost 4 of these all the way down the hiking stick. So yeah, this came out super nice, super happy with it. Actually, one of the first hiking sticks I ever sold at a local antique store was just like this. It had a hole like this, and as I mentioned, I don't know if I'm going to hit something, but as I mentioned, this would be what was in the ground. So it would have been sitting like this. So this is what I look for when I try to find hiking sticks, is things like this with a knot at the bottom, and then you have to dig down a little bit and cut it right here, and then you have to visualize it in someone's hand like that. So all finished with this. And if anybody else, a couple people had asked me for a hiking stick, so if you do want one, just email me or call me and I'll be happy to make you one. As I mentioned, I probably have about 20 sticks right now that I haven't, and hold on, I'll show you this one too. I don't know who's on here and who's new to the channel, but this is another one that I did. This is the difference. This one only has a tiny marking here and a tiny marking up here, and then the rest of it is almost all white. And you can't really tell from here. No problem, Musical. Thank you. I appreciate it, bro. You can't really tell here, but it's almost translucent. It's not picking it up very well, but on this stick, all throughout here, you can see like the grains of the wood, and it's almost purple in the light. It's crazy. But yeah, this is a very, very light stick. See how straight that is? If you can see that. So that's what I'm talking about. You very rarely see, I know it's different kinds of wood, but even in different kinds of wood, you very rarely see that. And then, as I mentioned before, this is the one where I quit smoking right after I found this one. And this is the one that I call my Jesus staff, because it's literally like, you can look at the curve in that. Look at the curve in that. It's like to the shape of your body. I didn't have to even take the bark off of this. It just literally, I made a slit right here, and all of this bark just came off in one piece. Look at that texture on that. I didn't even, you can see it. I didn't even carve this. I just sanded it. Just came right off. And this is the hiking stick that where it was the night before, or like around the same time, I forget if it was the night before or around that time, I quit smoking. I killed 2 demons in my dream. I know this sounds crazy, but I killed 2 demons in my dream. They looked like zombies. I cut one of them in the face like this, and the other one, I think I cut its head off. And the next day I quit smoking weed and cigarettes. And I've done everything. I went to hypnotists. I went to all these people when I wasn't living for Christ to try to quit smoking, and couldn't do it. And that hiking stick is the night that I quit smoking. And I haven't smoked a cigarette in, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years. No, it's almost going on maybe 7 years now. Maybe 6 or 7 years. So thank the Lord for that. I couldn't have done it without his help. And we're going to start reading chapter 13. I just wanted to talk about a couple things, but we could probably wait till later for that stuff. So I was waiting until we got a couple people on here for, yeah, about 17 people. I was just hoping we could get maybe, the normal crowd in here before we started reading tonight. That picture for the thumbnail, that is from this Bible. As I had mentioned, I was going to use a lot of these pictures because I don't even think these are available. These pictures that are in here, I don't think I've ever seen them. I collect pictures of Jesus and like pictures about the Bible in my profile. I think I sent a USB to outside the 4 walls that has a lot of my art pictures that I've saved and stuff on there. And there's just so much out there, and I've never seen any of the stuff that's in this book. Just unbelievable artwork in this book. But yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna wait a few minutes, guys, if you don't mind, just to get everybody in here. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out Robert Farrell's 2 new videos about the Gospel of Philip, guys, you know how much, if you've heard the show that me and Robert did, you know how much I talk about Robert's work. You know how much I love Robert's work. And I'm just telling you, I've never heard Robert speak the way he did in the last one he just did today that he released. He spoke so fluently and so like just easy to understand. And what he says lets you understand a lot of what I talk about. Unbelievably powerful videos that he just did. They're only, I think, 25 minutes each or something. If you haven't checked those out, please check those out, because not only will it help you understand what he teaches, but it will help you understand what I teach, because a lot of it's about the keys. And like he said, understanding the Gospel of Philip will allow you, it's almost like for instance, the Gospel of Thomas. Most people don't realize that the Gospel of Thomas is one of the most contended texts that was found in the past century. A lot of people don't like it. In fact, a lot of preachers that I respect talk against it because they don't understand it. But it's quotes from Jesus himself that match a lot of the stuff that's in the canon. But what it doesn't do sometimes is it doesn't answer questions. The Gospel of Philip answers the questions, some of which are asked in the Gospel of Thomas. So that's how you really have to do it. You have to like go find the question and then find the answer in the other text. And that's something similar to just reading the Bible, but in the extra biblical stuff, like the stuff that was dug up in Qumran and the Nag Hammadi codices and the Dead Sea Scroll type stuff, that stuff, a lot of it, it's almost like you need the new stuff to match up the new stuff. Like you have to have like the Gospel of Thomas to match up to the Gospel of Philip. You don't have to, but it just helps. It's just the way it is. But like I said, the way for the bread to rise, the word of God to rise. Matthew 13:33. The way that that happens is by taking the Holy Spirit's testament and plugging that back in to the other two. It gives life to the other two. So here's another picture. This is of Golgotha, the place of the skull. That's where Jesus was crucified. And as you can see, every little tiny line that you see is like a scratching in the however he wrote that. Like it looked like it was almost like a wood carving type of thing. So it's I know it doesn't pick up on this, but it's unbelievable artwork. So this is what I dreamed the other night when I was trying to find Christ, and why he hadn't been really walking with me in my prayers. He was here, just like this. He was crying in the Garden of Gethsemane. That's what that is a picture of. This is literally what I saw in my... He had his head down just like that, actually, when I was praying, asking God where it was the other night. That's what he was doing. He was agonizing and praying for the world right now, and that's what he's doing, and that's what we should be doing. And, you know, sometimes when you agonize for the world, makes like the things that you're dealing with on an earthly level not seem so bad, because you're really just trying to care about the Lord and what He's dealing with. And when your thoughts are on heavenly things, the earthly stuff just fades away, sort of. Hold on a second. All right, so that's all right, Private. I've actually taken quite a bit of time just to wait for everybody to get on, because tonight we're just basically going to be reading, and I just want everybody to have a chance to get here. If you have to go, if anybody has to dip out, go do something else because they don't have time to wait, that's fine. You can check it out later. No big deal. I just want everybody to have a chance to listen to the text tonight if you wanted to hear it live. So if anyone doesn't know, we're going to be reading this, The Vestures of Light and the Rod of Wonder. And it's chapter 13, The Dragon Stick, page 173. So that's pretty incredible. We're already on page 173 of this book. And a lot of people have actually said they liked it so far. So I'm glad people are learning about all this stuff. So it starts out. The next episode related to the history of the Garments of Power and the Rod of Wonder are connected to Joseph's rise to power as Vizier of Egypt. Following his reign, the sacred relics come into the possession of Jethro, Ruel, the Midian priest king who served as advisor to Pharaoh along with Job, and the children of Balaam, Jannes and Jambres, who would later become the father-in-law of Moses, advancing his call to become the liberator of Hebrew peoples under the burden of Egypt. This ambiguous timeline of what happened between Jacob's deathbed confession and Joseph's reception of these holy objects, and how Moses established possession of them, can be reckoned from numerous obscure ancient sources. So, pause for 2 seconds. This is very important, what I'm about to say, because a lot of people don't realize how Moses' father-in-law relates to Egypt and then back out into the desert where Moses found him again. So this is going to explain all that, but it's not in the canon. So again, we're going to have to go outside the canon to bring it back into the canon, so we can explain what happens in Exodus. And as you saw in Obama's book, he's saying he's going to lead you to the promised land. But like I said, the devil doesn't even believe the promises that he tells himself. So you want to believe in a person that doesn't even, follow the lies that he tells himself, or believe the lies he tells himself, or the lies he told to Adam and just laughs in Adam's face. People are happy, they love the devil. They even want to teach it in schools now and stuff like that, and have, connect the dots with the Baphomet and stuff like that, but they don't realize what they're getting themselves into at all. And you heard the dream the woman had about the person that took the microchip, and all of a sudden they're trying to find Christians so they can figure out how to get rid of it and stuff, but you can't. When you take the mark of the beast, it's too late. They press the button, boom, blew the guy up. And I mean, if you can't think that that can happen, just listen to Obama's speech. He laughs about the fact that they do drone strikes on people overseas. A drone strike is nothing different. My friend still has traumatic dreams about the fact that he was a drone pilot, and you press a button and you kill the target, and those are real people somewhere, and they're dead. And Obama's laughing about the fact that he did drone strikes on people overseas, and many of them were Christians. Doesn't even care. All right, so this ambiguous timeline of what happened between Jacob's deathbed confession and Joseph's reception of these holy objects and how Moses established possession of them can be reckoned from numerous obscure ancient sources. Altogether, they cite in record what occurred during the era that Israel was bondservant to Pharaoh and Egypt before being freed from their servitude to become a nation of priests and prophets. What few biblical scholars realize, sorry, there's a typo, I think, because it's missing a word. What few biblical scholars realize that it's supposed to say while. So while few biblical scholars realize that Jethro had once served as an advisor in Pharaoh's court before fleeing eastward to the lands of Midian, the reason he abandoned his post had to do with the counsel given to Pharaoh by Jannes and Jambres. Don't forget that Jannes and Jambres are so intertwined with all this. They were like the voice of the devil through all these things that happened outside of even this, which recommended that he treat the skin condition where he, along with many other Egyptian people at the time, found themselves contending with mottled skin and painful boils. In fact, it was the royal princess condition which found her bathing in the Nile River at the time that Moses was sent down its currents in a basket. A lot of people don't realize that she was bathing because she was trying to get rid of the boils that many Egyptian people had. Jannes and Jambres had recommended to Pharaoh to begin treating his skin ailment by bathing in the blood of newborn Hebrew children and toddlers, sacrificed at a very young age. Interesting, that's exactly what people are saying on national television now that they use as a way to make themselves look younger. Kim Kardashian, a couple of other people I've seen live on TV. Sandra Bullock said that she uses the foreskin from young babies in like other countries to inject into her face to make her look younger. So this is not something that is not being done right now, if you don't believe that they would do that back then as well. And it was after many of those days that the king of Mizraim was struck with disease, and he commanded to kill the firstborn of the sons of Israel, that he might bathe himself in their blood. Targum of Jonathan, Exodus 2. Many people don't realize this, but when you see the volleyball Wilson with the blood hand on it, that is representative of the sacrifice of children. That's why the guy that's in that movie, he is part of it. He's a Mason. He's a master Mason, and he is very evil. And the guy that played somebody picked that up. I can't remember the guy's name. He played Forrest Gump. That guy, he's been raping 14-year-olds since he was very young. Very, very young. And Hillary Clinton, she cut the face off of a little girl, traumatized her, and then sucked the pineal gland right out of her nose. And that it was on the dark web for a long time. And that's what that Wilson picture is on the volleyball. Tom Hanks, thank you, Tim. Somebody said it, musical said it, Dorothy, did you get the, oh my gosh, Dorothy is on point. Sorry, I always see the fifth one down because it's like the first one. Sorry about that. So yeah, Tom Hanks, he is a very, very evil man. Very evil you just can't fathom how evil that man is. He is also an assassin, if people don't know that. The movie Road to Perdition, where he's an assassin in that movie, it's showing you what he really is. He's the Hollywood assassin. And we know that the son of perdition is Obama. And all these people worship Obama. They don't tell you that. And like I said, he can change form, he can change shape. When God smote the Pharaoh with the illness, that latter turned to his magicians and wise men so that they might cure him. The latter, so that he might be cured, prescribed that the sores be covered with the blood of children. At this point, the Pharaoh, heeding their counsel, sent his functionaries to the land of Goshen so that they might abduct Jewish children. What does that sound like? 800,000 children go missing in the United States every year, or maybe that's even in one state. I don't even know. I know that a lot of them go missing in Oregon, where they do the sacrifices and stuff at the Red Forest. Where do you think The Goonies was filmed? Made by Steven Spielberg. All in that area. that whole coastal area. That's where they do all that stuff. That's where they do the stuff for worshiping Moloch at Bohemian Grove. All that stuff is all in there. Let's see. So back in the Egyptian times, I'm telling you, we are in Egypt. Remember I told you that they were trying to build the wall because they're trying to surround Egypt? That's what this is. It's all repeating itself. And Obama even said when he looked at a picture of Pharaoh, he said, hey, look, it's me. He's not joking. The order was carried out and the infants were taken by force from their mothers' laps to be presented to Pharaoh every day. One by one, it was then that his physicians killed them and with their blood bathed the sores on his body, repeating the operation for days at a time, so that the number of butchered children reached the number of 375. That's from the Sefer Ha-Yashar, which is Sefer Hayashar. That part I just read. And you can see it for yourself if you'd like to. Right there. If you anybody doesn't believe it or they don't want to take my word for it, they can read it themselves. Recognizing the evil of such advice from the possible repercussions of Pharaoh's acceptance and follow-through of them, Jethro decided to abandon his position rather than voice approval or dissent for such decision. So that's Jethro is the father-in-law of Moses. He leaves when this happens and goes out and lives in the wilderness in like the desert area. That's why Moses went out to him there. So see how this is all, it's all prefiguring itself. It's all being planned out by God. Where is Moses going to go? He's going to go to Jethro. He's going to marry Jethro's daughter. See how that works out? God always has a plan. Recognizing the evil of such device and the possible repercussion of Pharaoh's acceptance and follow-through of them, Jethro decided to abandon his position rather than voice approval or dissent for such a decision. He believed, regardless of how he would proceed in advisement, there was no clear path to avoid incurring either Pharaoh's or the wrath of God. It is postulated in some of the ancient commentaries that one of the reasons why Yahweh allowed Job to endure Satan's persecution in the manner that he did was specifically due to the fact that he did not reject or protest outright Jannes and Jambres' suggestion to Pharaoh. So isn't that interesting? So that it's saying right here that they speculate that one of the reasons that Job had to endure Satan's persecution is because he didn't choose to say no when Pharaoh was doing those evil things. But like I said in the Testament of Job, it says that Satan was inside of an idol, and it was in Job's province, and Job said, why don't I, he was basically praying to God, and God was like, why don't you destroy that statue? And Job's like, yeah, why don't I am the king. And then all of a sudden he was told by an angel he's going to go through this contest, so he's going to be tested. And a lot of people give the Bible, the reason I mention that all the time is because these are all reasons why a lot of Christians choose not to, a lot of people choose not to be Christians, is because they say it was unfair that Job was tested that way. They're like, I don't want to be part of a religion where God tortures his own people just because he wants to have a contest between himself and Satan. It had nothing to do with that. Job perfectly well knew he was going to be tested. Isaac perfectly well knew he was going to be tested on the altar. All these people had a choice, and they chose correctly. And then forever now, they will have eternal glory for what they chose to do. Was it fun? No. Did it suck? Yes. Was it hard? Yes. Did it hurt? Yes. When did God ever say that it was going to be easy for a Christian? Never. Never said that. Let's see. Should he have vehemently opposed such consultation, there may have been an opportunity for Job to deflect the repercussions which he was later exposed. It is inferred that because of this failure, he was himself exposed rampantly to the kind of skin disease which Pharaoh and his household had been plagued with, whereby very large and painful boils broke out all over his body. Wanting to have no part in this plan, Jethro fled into the eastern desert wilderness that night until he escaped the reach of Pharaoh's empire. And don't forget, what I just read, it says that it was speculation that happened to Job, why he had the boils and all that stuff. It's just speculation. So I personally believe in the testament of Job over any speculation, but you have to wonder. There's different things that we just don't know, but that's why we're doing this show. That's why we're having these conversations, so that we can try to conclude what's true. Like, for instance, Danny was mentioning to me today, which is an important thing to talk about, that there's two accounts of what happened with Cain and Abel. One is that they are hecaphanaceous fraternal twins, which means that Satan impregnated Eve, and then Adam impregnated Eve, and the one egg had two children inside of it, which is the yin and the yang. There's also another account in, I believe, either the first book of Adam and Eve or the Cave of Treasures, I forget which one, but they're very similar, where they have two twin sisters that are in with them. So like Cain has a twin and Abel has a twin. One of the reasons why in that story Cain kills Abel is because he wanted to marry his own twin. Cain wanted to marry his twin, but the parents said, no, Abel, you marry Cain's twin sister, and Abel, you marry the other one, and so you swap it like an X, so it's not so, strange, I guess. And then turned out that Cain didn't like that plan, so that's another reason he killed Abel. So that's a conflicting story. I guess we'll really never know. But I just like to bring these things up because sometimes people are like, well, if they conflict, I don't believe it. Well, you don't really know. You believe tons of stuff that conflicts with, when it comes to NASA and all the stuff that you like. But when it comes to something you don't like the Bible, then you want to attack it for those types of reasons, when it's really something you shouldn't even think about attacking, because you're going to have to deal with that someday. Nobody's going to attack you about your satanic crap except for the fact you're going to hell someday. They're only going to attack you, you're only going to get in trouble for the stuff that you do against the kingdom of God. That's the only thing that you have to worry about. So let's see. Okay. So, wanting to have no part in this plan, Jethro fled into the eastern desert wilderness that night until he escaped the reach of Pharaoh's empire. Yet before his departure to the land of Midian, he sequestered from the royal vaults the coat of many colors and the staff of authority, which were prized by Joseph. These items had been taken from Joseph's household following his death and were procured by King Melal, the king of Mekron, the pharaoh which had elevated Joseph to viceroy and second in command under his authority. Taken by Jethro, they would come to play a pivotal role in determining who would be worthy of claiming the hand of his eldest daughter, Zipporah. A prophet himself, Jethro had seen in the vision that the person who would come to remove the rod of power from its placement within his garden enclosure would be the individual ordained by Yahweh to liberate the Israelites from their subjection to Pharaoh's rule. What does this sound like to you? This sounds like King Arthur pulling the sword from the stone. See? And if you find out from Gary Wayne's work, Gary Wayne talks about the fact that the King Arthur legend is actually like the Antichrist legend or something to do with that. Like it ties into that. So it's almost like they stole the true Christian, the true like Israel, history, the history of God. It's almost like they stole the true stories of that. Then we don't learn them in the church because they take books out, and then they copy them and turn them into their own stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? And trust me, I love the stories of King Arthur, like in the Knights of the Round Table and stuff like that. But I'm just telling you how this relates. I'm just saying how they did it, because you can also find out that, and hear me out when I say this, because one time I was at a Chinese restaurant and they had the Zodiac on it, and I took my mat and I flipped it over. I didn't want to look at it because I don't like mysticism or Chinese stuff like that or any of that stuff. But then I did research later on in life, and I found out that the Zodiac is actually the stars of the symbols of the stars and the different constellations, and that is actually telling you the history of Jesus Christ and how it relates and how it would come about. So written in the stars is actually the history of Jesus Christ, that he would be born of a virgin, how he would come upon the earth, all that stuff. But then when the Greeks got a hold of it, they turned it into their own gods, and then they took the story and twisted it molded it into their own ways. And that's what the Greeks did with a lot of stuff. And to think about that for a second, most of the translations that we have where they're transliterated, so they took it from however they do it. I'm not a genius about this, but I know this much. They take it from the Hebrew or the Aramaic, then they turn that into Latin or Greek, and then Greek into whatever other language. So Hebrew, Greek, English. So however they do that, however they do that in their, documents, that's transliteration. So like I said before, when you're playing the game of telephone as a child and you're like tell somebody something, as you get further along, it's not the same as when you were originally told the story. So that's what we're dealing with, is Greeks that hated Christians to begin with, didn't like their ways, and then they're the ones translating our books. Then you throw in the fact that the Catholic Church got a hold of these books, and all their people don't want us to know the truth of the stories, because the false Jews are the ones that paid off the Roman soldiers. Guess who the Roman soldiers probably became later on in life? Think about it. If they had any money that they just got paid and they become popular in Rome or something like that, and all of a sudden one of them's like the captain of all the people, or just picture how long is time. Time is so unfathomable, how over the course of time, if somebody wants to do something that's evil, think about how much they could twist to their own gain over time. Just like even that movie, it's not a good movie, but I'm just saying, like, think about the people in like the movie Highlander, where they're immortal, and over time they go through so many things that it's incredible how much things get twisted over time. So think about that. People that, like, none of us really know. None of us really, like, if you've ever heard of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth that Zen reads sometimes, where I'm not saying it's anything scriptural, it's actually evil, the stuff that's in that. He's talking about like the halls of Amenti, which are like the halls of hell and stuff like that. He's saying that he's immortal. So if there are people out there that have the ability to live longer than we can fathom, which it says in here that Nimrod lived for 250 years. If there's people like that that can still live that long, which some people probably can, especially if they're vampiric and stuff like that, which is what they do in masonry and all that. When you get to the highest levels of masonry, you have to choose between like vampirism or being a Lycan, which is a werewolf. A lot of people don't know that stuff either. But like, think about what's in the movies. What they put in the movies, they're putting it in the movies so that they can tell you this stuff, so that they can continue to do this stuff. Because if they don't show the people, God's people, what they're doing, it's like a universal law. They have to show you what they're doing in order for them to be able to continue to do it. And I've actually heard, like, there's like stories online, like missing persons 411 or whatever it's called, where people go missing in the forest, and all these other stories of like the giant of Kandahar, all these different things that have happened, like crazy stories. I don't get into ghost stories at all. I don't even want to know that stuff. But like historical stories. And there's a guy that said that he went to a Mason meeting. Somehow he became a high-ranking Mason. You'd never think that he would, but he became super high-ranking because the guy that liked him was a high-ranking Mason. And they said that they went to an underground meeting, and they came into the hall, and they were supposed to meet this super high-ranking Mason. And it turned out it was a demon, a literal demon, in the room with a face on his stomach right here. And the demon was talking, and he was like laughing, and all the things that the demon was saying were actual things, like things that how would they know that stuff? And they were commanding the other Masons to talk, like to go out and do these things. And that's where they get their orders from. They literally get their orders from demons. And if you don't, forget that. If you don't believe that, it's fine. That's fine. But there are girls that have been raped at Masonic meetings, and they recount these tales. They're like 18, 19 now. These girls say that they were raped by men that were at Masonic halls, and around the table, all the Masons, they're dressed in all these black coats. They go up to the front and they start raping this girl, and they all take turns raping the person. And then a demon, smoke fills the room, and then a demon comes out and it kills a child right in front of the people. So they rape the girl and then they kill a child right in front of the people. And that is what I'm talking about. That is who Forrest Gump really is. That is who the guy that plays Forrest Gump really is. He's a Mason. That is what these people do. That is what Hillary Clinton is really like. These are the people that run the world. And this is what it's telling you in this book. It's telling you that the Pharaoh used to kill people, little babies, and bathe in their blood. And this has been going on since then. And I mean, you can read any historical document. The Aztec people used to sacrifice people. This goes, and so ask yourself, what was God's people doing that they lost their relationship with God? They were doing the same thing. They were sacrificing their own children to Moloch and to Baal. They were taking their babies, their little babies, and putting them on the boiling hands of a statue of a false god, a statue that represents a fallen angel. That's what these people are doing. And then you have new religions like the Hebrew Israelite movement that are saying that they have the actual rights to God. They're saying because of their bloodline that they have the actual rights to God, because they probably are the true Israelites. Maybe genetically, who knows? Because we're all mixed now, so who knows? But they're saying because of that they have the rights to Israel. How in the heck does that make sense? Because as far as I knew, you guys were sacrificing, if you're the real ones, you were sacrificing your children to Moloch. You see what I'm saying? You lost it because you screwed up, because you're doing the same thing that all of the people that worship Satan are doing. That, what I'm telling you right now, that's what Jeremiah was prophesying against, was that. And what is that symbolized as? It's symbolized as cutting down a tree in the forest and you put it up in your house. That is Nimrod worship. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. They were sacrificing children to the same thing. That's why I don't celebrate Christmas. Because it's all related. All of it. I'm just being for real. I'm not saying nothing because you have no idea. We used to have the biggest Christmases. We used to have our Christmas tree. It was like 14 feet tall because we put it in the sunroom that my dad built. That's what burnt down when my house burnt down a couple of years ago in January in the middle of winter. That's the room that burnt down. My dad built it. And we almost died in this fire. And that's when Jesus started showing me all these prophetic dreams and all these things. So imagine if that never happened. I don't think I would even be here talking to you right now. I'm just like, and I'm sharing my life with you, obviously, but I mean, I'm not trying to get into that. I'm just saying, this is like a real thing that I live. Like, I've lived through this stuff. It's not like something I'm just making up. Like, God showed me all this stuff. And do you honestly think that a pothead kid that just wanted to be left alone, a loner and a stoner that cared nothing for other people, would actually care about anything I'm telling you right now? No. God changed my life, and then he started showing me this stuff. And to be honest, I don't really want to know about the Masons. I don't want to know what these sick and twisted people do in the darkness. I don't like talking about it very much. But this is the enemy that we face. So, in order to know yourself, and to be able to fight, according to Sun Tzu, one of the greatest generals of all time, you have to know your enemy and you have to know yourself in order to win any battle. That's the facts. If you don't know your enemy and you don't know yourself, you're going to lose every single battle. Christians right now, they don't know themselves. They don't. And they certainly don't know the enemy because he already infiltrated their church services. He already infiltrated their canon, their Bible. He already made them take out all the stuff that they need to survive the end times. And people don't even realize who the Antichrist is. And it's fine if you don't believe me that Obama's the Antichrist, but at least acknowledge that he could be a contender for it. People are out there like singing his praises, and he's the one that was killing half of the Christians that are being beheaded right now in other countries and doing drone strikes on them. And laughing about it. Talking about how he wants to close the doors, shut the doors, and let's get this on. Let's have a red wedding. What the frickin' heck is a red wedding? You know what it is? It's in the movie Game of Thrones. They shut the doors, and all the soldiers are in chainmail under their cloaks. And the guy that's in there that wants to marry this girl that he wasn't supposed to marry because he was supposed to marry this king's daughter. The king gets pissed. The king of this area gets pissed. So he secretly lures him into the room and he murders the pregnant lady and murders the guy and then murders everybody that's related to them. That's what Obama was saying. He wants to shut the doors and he wants to murder all the Christians. And that's why he has guillotines set up in all the FEMA camps. And that's why right now, if you go on Indeed.com and you look up who they're hiring for, the only jobs that are out there right now is for FEMA camps. Go look it up. Tell me if I'm lying. Go look it up. I'm just telling you. My dad told me that today. I didn't even know it. My dad told me that on Indeed, they're hiring for FEMA camps all over the country. Why? What do they know that we don't know that's coming? Why is it that all of the banks around here and my bank, which is an hour away, they're all closed. The lobbies are closed. You have to make an appointment just to get inside. Why would that be? They're about to shut all the banks down, permanently shut them down, because they want you to move to a digital currency. They don't want you to be able to get cash and stuff like that. They want you to be on a digital currency. And then when they shut that down, because they shut the electric down, you're going to have to go to Walmart's to get all your stuff. One store. Why is that? Because inside the Walmarts, they're going to have booths set up. And if you don't take the mark of the beast, which is bowing down to a hologram of Obama, they're going to kill you. Either that or you're on your own. And you got to find all your own stuff. You're going to be on your own out here. I'm just telling you, this is... What I'm saying to you right now is what I've come up with from years of studying what I'm studying right now. I'm just telling you, and from different people's prophetic dreams and different stuff. And I'm not saying it's going to happen exactly like I just said. There's probably going to be bits and pieces in between that different things that happen, but they're not going to be fun things. They're going to be like earthquake, disaster, tsunami, military invasion, blah, 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 on top of what I just said. And everybody used to say that I'm nuts. My dad used to say, Jared, you've been telling me this stuff. My dad literally said this to me today. Jared, you've been saying this stuff for so long. It's finally happening. And I go, I know. And I didn't say it arrogantly. I was just like, bro, I know. I didn't say bro to my dad, but I'm just saying, like, I actually respect my dad a lot. But I was like, me and my dad are really good friends, though, so I probably could call him bro. But he literally acknowledged the fact that I've been saying this for so long, and he finally believes me. It was actually a great day. So back to the text. I was going to try to find... Bear with me. If you guys could hold on for 2 seconds, I just want to find something. Hold on a second. Yeah, I found it. It says it right here, but I don't think that it says it's like a rap song that they made about it, but it says Obama Red Wedding Rap, Obama's hilarious final White House correspondence dinner speech. Hold on a second.
It's like a red wedding. You can't say it, but you know it's true. Good evening, everybody.
Hear that?
It's like a red wedding. You can't say it, but you know it's true. Good evening, everybody. It is an honor to be here at my last. You all look great. The end of the Republic has never looked better. I do.
Hear that? The end of the Republic has never looked better. We're a republic. What he's saying is that he's going to destroy America. He used to hold a book in his hand when he's going into his plane that says he's going to how to destroy America. He's a Muslim. I read it to you in the Book of the Bee. The final stage before the giants are released from the north is that the Muslims take over. Right, and he said, "Be still and know that I am God." He said that. He admitted to himself taking the place of God on earth. He said it himself. Why would he quote the Bible? He's a Muslim. He's even said he got caught in it. He said, "My Muslim faith." He also said Michael and called Michelle Michael by accident one time too.
I apologize. I was running on CPT, which stands for jokes that white people should not make. Anyway, here we are. It's like the Red Wedding. My 8th and final appearance at this unique event. Earned me some serious Tubman. That's right. Like the Red Wedding. That's right. It's like the Red Wedding. Red Wedding. It's like the Red Wedding.
There's only 367 views of this video and 4 thumbs up. Probably nobody even heard this, or nobody even understands what he's talking about. He's talking about killing us all. That's what a red wedding is. So at least you got to hear it. Anyways. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because he is the Pharaoh. We're reading about Pharaoh right now. All right. Let's see. 9 years after the. Oh, I think. Hold on, I gotta go back a page 1 second. Okay, so Jethro saw in a vision that the person that would remove the rod would become the person that would save them from Egypt. Once a limb from the tree of life, the rod of wonder was said to be sapphire in color. This is super important if you guys are listening. Once a limb from the tree of life, the rod of wonder was said to be sapphire in color and crystalline in composition. It was engraved with the Hebrew letters signifying the name of the Tetragrammaton, YHVH, and marked by sigil, which represented in letter the 10 plagues which would be loosed as judgment upon the Egyptian residents. It would come into Moses' possession after what seemed a period of 40 years, whereby the prophet followed in similarity Reuel's trek eastward. Moses, however, was seeking to elude the myriad bounty hunters seeking to collect the reward Pharaoh had placed upon his head for having killed an Egyptian taskmaster who was plotting to dishonor the wife of his Hebrew kinsman. This is the story. While Moses abode in Goshen, an incident of great importance occurred. To superintend the service of the children of Israel, an officer from among them was set over every 10. The 10 such officers were under the surveillance of an Egyptian taskmaster. One of these Hebrew officers, Dathan by name, had a wife, Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan, who was of extraordinary beauty, but inclined to be loquacious. To be very loquacious. So she was kind of, what it's saying here is she's kind of a slut. That's what it's saying. But notice the name. One of these Hebrew officers was Dathan by name. In the movie Moses, the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, Dathan is in that movie. So let's continue. And he's a bad guy in the movie. He's a bad taskmaster. Whenever the Egyptian taskmaster set over her husband came to their house on business connected with his office, she would approach him pleasantly and enter into conversation with him. The beautiful Israelite woman enkindled a mad passion in his breast, and he sought and found a cunning way of satisfying his lustful desire. One day he appeared at the break of dawn at the house of Dathan, roused him from his sleep, and ordered him to hurry his detachment of men to their work. So, see that Dathan isn't a bad guy, but in the movie The 10 Commandments, they say Dathan is the one that made them all worship the golden calf. See how they totally twist that story? Dathan is actually the one that Moses was saving in the real life story. Moses killed the Egyptian because he was protecting Dathan. But in the movie, the Hollywood movie, they make Dathan out to be the bad guy. The husband scarcely out of sight, he executed the villainy he had planned and dishonored the woman. And the fruit of this illicit relationship was the blasphemer of the name whom Moses ordained to execution on the march through the desert. At the moment when the Egyptian slipped out of Shelomith's chamber, Dathan returned home. Vexed that his crime had come to the knowledge of the injured husband, the taskmaster goaded him on to work with excessive vigor, and dealt him blow after blow with the intention to kill him. Young Moses happened to visit the place at which the much abused and tortured Hebrew was at work. Dathan hastened toward him and complained of all the wrong and suffering the Egyptian had inflicted upon him. Full of wrath, Moses, whom the Holy Spirit had acquainted with the injury done the Hebrew officer by the Egyptian taskmaster, cried out to the latter, saying, "Not enough that thou hast dishonored this man's wife, now thou aimest to kill him too?" And turning to God, he spoke further. "What will become of thy promise to Abraham, that his posterity shall be as numerous as the stars if his children are given over to death? And what will become of the revelation on Sinai if the children of Israel are exterminated?" Moses wanted to see if someone would step forward and, impelled by zeal for the cause of God and for God's law, would declare himself ready to avenge the outrage. See that? Does anybody see that? Moses was praying to God for somebody to do something, and nothing happened, so he did it himself. And then he got chased out of Egypt for it. But I don't see very many people that are like us. And I'm not saying to go out and do this, I'm just saying that, like, who is going to be the ones that stand up for righteousness against the evils of this world? Who is going to do that? Somebody has to do it. And we have to take, the lickings that come with it, if you get my drift. And that doesn't mean you go and kill someone, but when you see this stuff actually happen exactly, Amy, we need to contend for the faith. We have to. Right. Exactly. Exactly, Tammy, we have to. And let's see. But Moses waited in vain. Then, he determined to act himself. Naturally enough, he hesitated to take the life of a human being. He did not know whether the evildoer might not be brought to repentance and then lead a life of pious endeavor. He also considered that there would perhaps be some among the descendants to spring from the Egyptian whose sake the wicked ancestor might rightfully lay claim to clemency. The Holy Spirit allayed all his doubts. He was made to see that not the slightest hope existed that good would come from either the malefactor himself or from any of his offspring. Then Moses was willing to requite him for his evil deeds. Nevertheless, he first consulted the angels to hear what they had to say, and they agreed that the Egyptian deserved death. And Moses acted according to their opinion. So Moses even was talking to the angels at that time. He was very young. Neither physical strength nor a weapon was needed to carry out the purpose. He merely pronounced the name of God, and the Egyptian was a corpse. To the bystanders, the Israelites, Moses said, "The Lord compared you unto the sand of the seashore, and as the sand moves noiselessly from place to place, so I pray you to keep the knowledge of what hath happened a secret within yourselves. Let nothing be heard concerning it." The wish expressed by Moses was not honored. The slaying of the Egyptian remained no secret, and those who portrayed it were Israelites, Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Palu, of the tribe of Reuben, notorious for their effrontery and contentiousness. The day, hold on a second. So apparently, there's the Dathan that was the guy that slept with his, the guy slept with his wife. So Dathan, there's a good Dathan right here, and then there's another Dathan down here who is one of the guys that tells on Moses for killing the person. But that doesn't seem like the same Dathan, because this guy isn't a taskmaster. It doesn't seem like it's just a regular Israelite person that causes trouble everywhere. So if the Dathan that's in the movie, The Ten Commandments, is the one they're talking about that was a taskmaster, then they flipped the script on it and they said it incorrectly. Which that whole movie is really like that, because they say that Moses is the one that came up with the Sabbath when it's really not that, because he hadn't even gone to Mount Sinai yet. If I'm saying the right mountain, I forget the mountain sometimes. Let's see. The day after the thing which the Egyptians happened, the two brothers began a malice aforefront. So Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Palu of the tribe of Reuben, notorious for their effrontery and contentiousness. The day after the thing with the Egyptians happened, the two brothers began a malice aforethought to scuffle with each other, only in order to draw Moses into a quarrel and create an occasion for his betrayal. The plan succeeded admirably, and seeing Dathan raise his hand against Abiram to deal him a blow, Moses exclaimed, "O thou art a villain to lift up thy hand against an Israelite, even if he is no better than thou." Dathan replied, "Young man, who hath made thee to be a judge over us, that thou hast not yet attained to the years of maturity? We know very well that thou art the son of Joshebed, though people call thee the son of a princess, Bithia. And if thou should attempt to play the part of our master and judge, we will publish abroad the thing that thou didst unto the Egyptian. Or peradventure thou harborest the intention to slay us as thou didst slay him by pronouncing the name of God." So they knew he was in Hebrew, and they tricked it. Excuse me, they tricked him into saying that. They tricked him into, acting that out. And God, what just happened, that whole thing, God hates that. If you read that in the Bible, God hates that. When you, lure somebody into a trap just to, lay false accusation against them and, give them crap about stuff. He hates it. Not satisfied with their taunts, the noble pair of brothers betook themselves to Pharaoh and spoke before him. "Moses dishonoreth thy royal mantle and thy crown," to which Pharaoh returned, saying, "Much good may it do him." But they pursued the subject. "He helps thine enemies, Pharaoh," they continued, whereupon he replied, "As much good may it do him." Still they went on, "He is not the son of thy daughter." These last words did not fail of making an impression upon Pharaoh. A royal command was issued for the arrest of Moses, and he was condemned to death by the sword. In the movie, Dathan is the one that tells Pharaoh what happened, because Moses kills the overseer to save Joshua, actually. which that did not happen. So that movie's basically bogus. The angels came to God and said, Moses, the familiar of thine house, is held under restraint. And God replied, I will espouse his cause. But the angels urged, his verdict of death has been pronounced. Yes, they are leading him to execution. And again, God made reply as before, I will espouse his cause. Moses mounted the scaffold, and a sword sharp beyond compare was set upon his neck 10 times, but it always slipped away, because his neck was as hard as ivory. And a still greater miracle came to pass. God sent down the angel Michael, and in the guise of a hangman, the human hangman charged by Pharaoh with the execution was changed into the form of Moses. This spurious Moses, the angel, killed with the very sword with which the executioner had purposed to slay the intended victim. Meantime, Moses took to flight, and Pharaoh ordered his pursuit, but it was in vain. The king's troops were partly stricken with blindness, partly with dumbness. The dumb could give no information about the abiding place of Moses, and the blind, though they knew where it was, could not. Oh, sorry guys, I forgot to turn my notifications off. And the blind, though they knew where it was, could not go to it. Legends of the Jews, Part 2. Fortunately, many of the segments quoted from the various ancient accounts containing connection to this legendary account are very lengthy in elaboration, which makes conceptualization, the history of the garments of power and the rod of wonder easy to grasp in going forward with revelation to unify this puzzle of truth in presentation. Some of the passages, while irrelevant to the history of these relics, do, like the one above, expound upon other aspects of the biblical narrative, which many King James versions of the Bible only scholars are not familiar. I believe that in sharing these accounts as well, it will expound upon the reason why those of you that are not familiar with the extra biblical manuscripts should consider the study of them. And the Lord said unto him, What is it that thou hast in thy hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it in the ground. And he cast it in the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. Exodus 4:2-9. This passage from the King James is one of very few canonical references which directly relates to either the garments of power or the rod of God. As mentioned previously with the elaboration of the extra biblical manuscripts, one can review the traditional narratives related to these items in the King James Version Bible and see that the history of these objects is encoded into the modern translations. However, elucidation of how these items inflicted their influence upon upon the lives of the patriarchs and nations of the world is greater emphasized within the other apocryphal materials of which the world is less familiar. And like I said, see, this is Exodus, and there are apocryphal books that were rejected in God's Testament times. Then there were books that were considered apocryphal that were not allowed to be in the New Testament. So we have both old documents that were rejected and new documents that were rejected. So both the Old and the New Testament are missing documents that we need. So then, where are those books? Those become the books for the wise at the end of time. Those books represent the Third Testament. And this is something that many people get confused, and they think that God gave us like all, a lot of people have these, different religions and things like that, which they start talking about all these books that make up the Third Testament. And the whole point of the Third Testament is that it's old books that are given back to us. Because, like I said, if they took these books and they put them away, so you put them away, just like Mary was put away, and she was put away in the Jewish temple, that makes those documents virgin documents. Mary was a virgin. She represents the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit represents the Third Testament. That means it was untouched, unspotted by the world. Because like I said, look at how many Bibles I have. I read from all my different Bibles all the time. All of these different Bibles have been tainted. They have taken books out. They have taken words out. They have taken lines out. They have changed the words. They have changed the name of God to Lord instead of the Word of God, and all these other things that they've done to take away the fact that Jesus has been helping mankind since Adam. Satan stabbed Adam and killed him when he first got on the earth. And then Jesus, the Word of God, came down and raised him up to life. Also, Adam and Eve, they commit suicide when they first get here. They don't want to live. They hate this place, just like I hate this place. But you don't have the option to kill yourself. And when Satan killed Adam, Jesus, the Word of God, which at the time was Christ because he hadn't come in his man form yet, Christ came down and gave Adam a weapon to fight against Satan if Satan tried to do that again. That is what I'm saying is in the Cave of Treasures in the first and second book of Adam and Eve. Like, sometimes I confuse the little parts of it, but I know Truth Seeker 1963 just read this today or yesterday, so he knows what I'm talking about, and many of you have probably read that as well. Yeah, the Cave of Treasures. So when you read the Cave of Treasures, and if you don't know what it looks like, I'll show you right now. Hold on. There we go. I'm gonna have to move the camera to get this out. But hold on one second, guys. All right. So this is the Cave of Treasures by E.A. Wallace Budge, who also wrote the Keber Nagast, the History of the Kings of Israel, and he wrote the Book of the Bee, and he also wrote that other book that I have, the little one. I don't know where it is. I think it's called I can't find it. This, The Bandolet of Righteousness. E.A. Wallace Budge. So that's 4 books: Cave of Treasures, Book of the Bee, The Bandolet of Righteousness, and the Keber Nagast. If you have those 4 books, you will have a greater understanding of the Bible, without a doubt. Yes, I have an official book library. And I remember, it's funny, I remember when I was doing spray foam insulation, and that's when I was listening to Rob Skiba and Zen, and I fell through the ceiling, and I caught myself on the rafters. I literally scraped my whole shins, fell through the ceiling, but the drop ceiling, like the acoustical ceiling where it has lines in it, I don't know if you know what they are, that was like 4 feet or something below. So if the ceiling was right there, I would have fell right through the ceiling. But because there was a gap, I caught myself on the rafters. And because the other 2 guys were spray foaming and I was just like moving around doing stuff because I was new, I was laying on my back, almost like dying in my full face mask. And that, when I was doing that job, that's when I purchased, I think, like 10 books from Zen while I was working during that time. So like a lot of you have recently bought a ton of books from Zen at one time. I did that 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So the reason I mention that is because what I hope, my prayer, is that you someday will be able to do what I'm doing now. And obviously we will not be in the same format, but wherever you find yourself, teach this to people that you find that are interested. Not everyone is going to be interested, and not everyone is going to understand, and some people will actually probably hate you for this. But it's okay. It's what we're supposed to do as the people of God, is to do this. So, thank you all for coming tonight. We're at an hour right now, and we're going to continue. Just wanted to do a quick check and see how everybody's doing. And I'm going to bring up my comments I forgot to do. And hold on, let's see. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, The Keber Nagast is a great book, musical. I love that book. Yeah, thank you guys for doing that, because I don't use Facebook. I got off it a long time ago. I don't care if you have it, but I don't do it. And so if you have like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, I know Outside the Four Walls does Facebook a lot. If you guys do that stuff, that is fantastic. I would love for everybody, hey Hazel, I would love for everybody to share that stuff as much as they can on that. Wherever you do stuff, the social media, I don't care what it is, just get it out there. And I don't make money off of this, so it's not like I'm telling you to go do it to link back to me, because I don't care. I don't care if 2 people are here. I was doing this when 2 people were here. It was like me, Danny, and like I think it was like me, Danny, and like Dorothy and like Miss Aja, or like and a couple other people originally. And I just want to share what God has taught me, because I was there with like 6 people when Zen was doing his show at first. And I know that it can grow. I've seen it grow because it's the truth. Only the truth can grow like this. You want to know why I know that? Because I've sat in the chapels where they were dead. I was sitting as a child in chapels that were dead. Twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I went to youth group every Wednesday, and all those churches were dead because all those people were living in their sins. And like I said, it was meant to be this way as far as it is with understanding these things now, because they were meant to be for now. But when you've seen what it's like when you don't have this information, when you see how the devil can twist people and manipulate people when you don't have the truth like this, it's scary and you never want to go back to it. And there are many prophets that preach about the fact that once you've been converted to understanding this information, and it's not really like a conversion like most people think, it's just you just like this. It's like you wake up from the Matrix and you're just like, everything makes sense all of a sudden, and you can't go back. And if you try to go back, it tells you that a lot of people might try to go back. They might want to go back. Or what I found also recently, a lot of people are doing is they take this stuff and they try to put it in like a cultish thing, which it's not. The truth, it expands like a mustard tree. Like the seed is so small, and when it expands, it just goes like this, and it goes way out. But people try to take this, right, exactly, Amy. Don't return to your own vomit. Don't return to the old ways. Don't, once you're washed, go wallowing in the mud again. Don't do that. And people do it. People do it. They're sick and they're twisted. And I'm not saying it's certain people. I'm saying it's the sin. It's the evil sin that's in people. Because you always ask yourself, like, why would the other fallen angels listen to the devil? Why would they listen to the devil? And then you hear people saying that Lucifer freed us by giving us the knowledge. I don't want this knowledge of good and evil. I want just the good knowledge. I want to go back to being, not knowing this crap. I don't want to know about the sick, twisted things that people do. I just want to be under God's wings and just not knowing this crap. I don't want to eat from that tree. I want the other tree where you don't know the gross stuff. However I got to do that, that's where I'm headed, is for that. Like a child. I just want to go back to being a child again in my mind. That's it. So let's see. Hold on 1 second. Dorothy. Oh, Dorothy, thank you. Oh, Dorothy, I showed my dad the cane that I sent you, and he said that your daughter's really, really cute. So thank you for sending those pictures. That was awesome. Let's see. Butterflies and rainbows. All right. 1 second. Oh, before I forget. Oh, nice. That is awesome, Blue. Thank you. Before I forget, Musical Evangelist, send me your address so I can ship you that hiking stick. Just don't let me forget. I just don't want to forget. Email it to me or text it to me, whatever you want, and I'll send it out tomorrow. Let's see. Fortunately, many segments of... Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard that part. I just want to bring you back to that, the Legends of the Jews part. So it says that Pharaoh said that Moses was going to get killed, but when the person came to try to kill Moses, his neck was as strong as ivory, and the blade couldn't cut his neck. And then the other part happened as well, where they tried to kill him and they couldn't hang him. So then it says, fortunately, many of the segments quoted from the various ancient. Oh, we already read that part. Sorry. Okay, this passage from the King James we already read that. It says, and Israel sighed and their groaning went up, and there arose a Pharaoh from Kittim, whose name was Atert. Then Moses kept the flock of Jethro when he came to Mount Horeb. On the 15th day of the 3rd month, on the 4th, God fulfilled the covenant which he made with the meritorious ones. The rod of Adam and his clothes were given to Moses on that day. Wow, so Moses was the first one to get both, in a long time, to get both the rod and the garments at the same time. Because before, I don't know if you guys remember, but before, oh, thanks, musical, appreciate it. Before, only the patriarchs would get like the rod, not the garments, because Nimrod had them. But now they have both. Moses got both. And this is the word which it said, and this is a sign to thee. On the 4th, he showed himself to Moses. On the 1st, he went down to Egypt, and God said to Aaron, go and meet thy brother. He went and met him, and they both went up to Egypt, and they made the signs before the Israelites. On the 3rd day, they went to Pharaoh. On the 5th, on Thursday, they smote the river. All the judgments were enacted within 9 months. On the 5th Thursday, they went out of Egypt at the 6th hour. They went out in the sight of all Egypt. At the going out of the Sabbath, they passed through the divided sea. On the 3rd Tuesday, the waters of Marah were sweetened. Hold on one second. What is that verse? Pray that your flight not be on the Sabbath. 1 second. Like, I always thought of it as a rapture verse, but hold on. In winter or on the Sabbath. Matthew 24:20. But pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. So it says, and they went out of Egypt at the 6th hour, and they went out in the sight of all Egypt. At the going out of the Sabbath, they passed through the divided sea. So as the Sabbath was ending, they went out through the divided sea. That's interesting. On the 3rd Tuesday, the waters of Marah were sweetened, and God showed him that rod by which he smites and heals. On the 6th Friday, they gained the victory over Amalek. On the 4th Wednesday, God called him up onto Mount Sinai. That's from the Assatir of Moses 3:19 through 34. And I have that book as well. That's amazing, the stuff that's in the Assatir. I'll read that as well at a later time, but fascinating book. It is not stated here who gave Moses, gave Moses the rod of Adam and the clothes. According to Jewish tradition, the rod was in the house of Pharaoh, left by Joseph, taken by Jethro and planted in the garden where Moses found it. The above literature on the rod of Moses, as for the clothes, Adam gave them to Enoch, Noah, then they came to Ham, and from him to Nimrod. Oh, that's cool, Danny. I didn't know that. Let's see. According to Samaritan tradition and practice, the day of giving of the law was on the 3rd of the month. It is kept independently of the Feast of Weeks, which is always on a Sunday, with special services arranged for each of those occasions. This is all notes. There are 3 mornings in the world. One is in the morning of creation on the 1st. On Sunday, another is the morning of Mount Sinai on the 4th Wednesday. Another the morning of the day of vengeance on the 6th, the Friday. On the 1st, the tabernacle was set up. On the third, they went away from Mount Sinai. And on the third, Miriam died. On the fourth, Aaron died. And on the seventh, the king of Arad fought against them and took from them captives. And afterwards, the Israelites utterly destroyed him and his possessions. While the preceding passages from the Assatir, the secret book of Moses, does not inform readers as to who gave them to him, we learn from other books and passages that Moses had acquired them from his father-in-law, Reuel, Jethro, who procured them from Pharaoh's treasury while working in an advisory capacity to the king before dismissing himself or being dismissed from such a role. The variation, of course, depends on the story one is reading. However, without a doubt, we learn from the relation of the multiple witnesses from multiple ancient accounts that the rod of God played a most prominent role in Moses' marriage to Zipporah, the eldest of Jethro's 7 daughters. So now we're on to chapter 14, which I'm probably going to do a short show tonight and then do another show tomorrow and then another one on Sunday, just because my voice is kind of going out and I don't want to lose it. But this is the next page if anybody can read that or wants to read the next page before we start again. So I'm going to put a bookmark in here. Yeah, it just seems like more fun when you do like a shorter show and then do one every night. So let's do that. And then if anybody has any questions, we can do questions, but let's see. If you can please check out Isaiah 4:6. Sure, yeah, we can do that. Go to, I don't. So what is the actual name, Lachlan, of his channel? We can go there. No, I don't. If that's the question, I don't observe the food laws because they're about people, not food, and I can read you that. That's a good question. Fantastic question. Actually, just told my dad that today. Where would you suggest someone to start reading if they were new to all of this? Fantastic question as well. Yes, actually, yes, I will do that. Lachlan, I will go there. I'm copying and pasting that. I'll do that. Hold on a second. 1 second. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Hold on 1 second. Yep, got it. How's it? Oh, he's got a nice, if this is the person, he's got, cool bicycle trail. Hold on, so, yeah, I went to his channel. I'll check it out. Thank you, Lachlan. Yep, got it. I'll check it out. Okay, so the question was, I'm gonna tell you about the food laws in 1 second. Where I would start is I would go to scriptural-truth.com or Apocryphon 1970. If somebody wants to put that in the chat, send them to Robert Farrell's work. But the first book that I would read is I would read the. Sorry if you can't post links. I would read the. I'll do it here. Super Gospel. Yep. Enoch, Super Gospel, and then I would go back and read the Bible, the canon, because it will show you what's going on. How does this relate to this? How does this relate to this? Yeah, Flat Waters channel is great. Love his channel. He's actually, funny enough, he was reading stuff that I read a while ago. Now he's reading stuff that I did in the middle. So he's going into the Book of the Bee and stuff. But he's actually taught, Flat Waters taught me a lot of different stuff that I didn't know from other channels. Thank you, Dorothy, for Apocryphon 1970. Thank you, Mary Curran, for that Flatwater info. Excellent info. Danny, thank you for mentioning Enoch. So now if you go to Apocryphon 1970's channel, his actual channel, you need to go to the old stuff to get the stuff that's at the website. The website Believe it or not, even though it looks chintzy and it looks like it's not like, because his videos are old and stuff like that. Like, I don't mean the website looks chintzy, but like his videos look old and like crappy and stuff because it's like on an old tape recorder. That is some of the best stuff you can find. Rob Skiba's awesome for information about like the Nephilim and like Nimrod and stuff like that. Excellent source of information. The only thing I would caution, and you can do whatever you want, I could care less, but Jesus, the God, yeah, Zen Garcia, thank you, Judy. Obviously Zen, because all these books that we're reading, this is by Zen Garcia. So, Zen Garcia, which is Sacred Word Publishing. But the only thing I would caution with, if you're gonna go out there and just go look at everything, is just don't. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but it happens. Don't get stuck in whether or not you have a beard. Don't get caught up in like being Torah observant. You can do whatever you want, but we're not Jews. Maybe you're a Jew. Like, I'm not being a jerk about it. I'm just saying I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Gentile either. Really, I'm a follower of Christ. So just don't get stuck in like trying to go back to the old ways and stuff like that, because Jesus gave us two commandments. Love your neighbor as yourself and love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And if you do those two things, you don't have to worry about if you shave your beard the right way. You don't have to worry about wearing tassels. You don't have to worry about all these unmanageable loads that the Pharisees put on people's backs. You don't have to do that. Christ is freedom. Muslims don't offer you freedom. They don't. And the reason Muslims don't offer you freedom is because the Jews that they stole their text from didn't offer you freedom either. And I just mentioned that to my dad today too. Right. Marie just said it perfectly. His yoke is light. He doesn't put burdens upon you. He takes your burdens away. That is the Christ that I serve. It's... Sorry, Danny just cracked me up because I've actually eaten his ribs and they're delicious. So, oh man, yeah. We just want to read all the things that they took away from us, and while you're doing that, you're going to notice some things. Like I said, you're going to notice there's two accounts of what happened with Cain and Abel, and which one do you choose to be correct? They could be, just details that they changed somewhere along the lines. It doesn't mean they didn't exist. It doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. It's just somewhere along the lines the story's got snafu'd and we have two different accounts of it. I'm not saying they're both right, or I'm saying one of them is right and just details might be changed or something like that. But let me show you here. Hold on one second now that we're talking about that. If you go to Scriptural-Truth, there's videos, there's MP3s, and there's PDFs, and they're all free. So the PDFs obviously are the written text, and the MP3s are the audio. But you can also get the audio at Apocryphon 1970. I would start there. For the past 7 years, I have been studying all the stuff on this website. That's how long it takes you, and I still am not done. I've read almost all of them, but I'm not done. Understanding, this is important because these are the things that are on here. The history of Joseph the Carpenter, the sign of Jonah, the understanding of what the Sabbath really is. It's a spiritual condition, not a day, if you want to say that, because we're not purified yet, so you can't even really celebrate the Sabbath in truth until you're justified through Christ when you're bathed in the Artesian lake someday. So that hasn't happened yet. On here is Jubilees, the book of Enoch, the Epistle of Barnabas, which is what I'm going to right now. Now, this is important. The Gospel of Barnabas is a Muslim text. You can read it, but it's not true. I'm just telling you that. Hold on a second. Oh, Desert Windsurfer, that's great. Yeah, we're trying to... That's why I'm kind of doing a short show. I'm like so tired from this week. I didn't even really work a ton, but I'm just beat. I'm so tired. Let's see. I hope you get some rest. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. blue, the two different Barnabases. Exactly. There's two different accounts, just like there's two different Enochs. One was a Satanist and one was the righteous scribe, who's one of the two witnesses. So hold on 1 second. I don't know why this isn't popping up. All right, here we go. So the Epistle of Barnabas, which is on that page, I got to go down to the food laws. Let me find it real quick. Hold on. So this is just something quickly that it says on Barnabas 2:5. This is Jesus talking. So hear what it says. What to me is the multitude of your sacrifices, saith the Lord. I am full of whole burnt offerings, and the fat of lambs, and the blood of bulls, and the goats desire not. Not though ye should come to me, come to be seen of me, or who required these things at your hands. Ye shall continue no more to tread my court. If ye bring me fine flour, it is in vain. Incense is an abomination to me. Your new moons and your Sabbaths I cannot away with. Why would he say that? He said that because these things therefore were annulled, that the new law of our Lord Jesus Christ, being free from the yoke of constraint. That's what was just said, I think, by Marie. Might have its oblation not made by human hands. See what it is? It's your sacrifices in your heart. This is what Jesus says, Barnabas 2:8. Nay, this was my command unto them. See, that's what people don't understand, is that it says, and he said unto them, did command forth from the land of Egypt to bring me whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. What happened was there were people in the land that like said, oh, well, we should do this and we should do that and we should do this. And they made up all this crazy crap to do to try to appease God. And then they said, oh, this is our law. This is what we're supposed to do. They screwed it all up. A lot of it they screwed up. People don't realize that. But where did we get this information from? Where did we get our canon from? We got our canon from the Jews. We adopted the concept of the 24. We adopted the concept of the 24. So we are currently using a canon, a Bible, a New and an Old and a New Testament that is written by them. It's true. That doesn't negate the things that Jesus said. It makes them even more true, because he was telling the Pharisees all this stuff. Why do you think they killed him? They killed Jesus because he was saying all these things against their ways. That's what the Jews were saying to Pilate. They're like, he's trying to change all of our laws and change all of our ways and change everything that we do. Why would Jesus try to do that stuff if Jesus was coming to fulfill all the things that Moses was doing? Because Moses and Jesus were on the same page, like they were on the Mount of Transfiguration, but all the Jews and the Pharisee people, they made up their own crap. And that's what Jesus is saying. He fixed all that stuff. So that's not what it is anymore. And he also said that he went away with it, and he's the new one. He's the new law that we're supposed to be obeying now. Anyways, let's go. 1 second. But unto us he said, behold, this is the fast which I have chosen, saith the Lord. Loosen every band. So this is what a fast is. Not though ye should bend your neck as a hoop and put on sackcloth and make your bed of ashes. Not even so shall ye call a fast that is acceptable. So that's not acceptable unto God. Behold, this is the fast which I have chosen, saith the Lord. Loosen every band of wickedness. Untie the tightened cords of forcible contracts. Send away the broken ones, released and tear it in pieces every unjust bond. Break thy bread to the hungry, and if thou seest one naked, clothe him. The Catholics put up spikes on their doors so that the homeless people can't sit underneath the overhangs at their churches. And if thou seest one naked, clothe him. Bring the shelterless into thy house. And if thou seest a humble man, thou shalt not despise him. Neither shall any one of thy household and of thy own seed. People think that Mother Teresa was holy. She wasn't holy. She starved people to death. And you know who was hung out with Mother Teresa? Anthony Fauci. The guy that's in charge of this COVID crap right now. You're going to find out he's being tried in national courts. And they're already building cases against Bill Gates and all these people. I'm not saying it's ever going to come to fruition, but they already are saying that it's a travesty against mankind, and they're killing people all over the world because of this COVID crap that they made up. They say in these courts that Anthony Fauci and Bill Gates, they made the virus like a Hegelian dialectic. Yeah, Mother Teresa was not a good person. So this is what Jesus says. Because you do those things, because you feed and clothe the naked and the hungry and shelter people in your homes, which is what Keith Green used to do, the singer that I play on the channel all the time. Then shall thy light break forth in the morning, and thy healing shall arise quickly, and righteousness shall go forth before thy face, and the glory of God shall environ thee. Then shalt thou cry out, and God shall hear thee, and while thou art still speaking, he shall say, Lo, I am here. And if thou shalt take away from thee the yoke, and the stretching forth of the finger, and the word of murmuring, and shalt give thy bread to the hungry heartily, and shall pity the abased soul. To this end, therefore, my brethren, he that is long-suffering, foreseeing that the people whom he had prepared in his well-beloved would believe in simplicity, manifested to us beforehand concerning all things, that we might not, as novices, shipwreck ourselves upon their law. Who's their law? The Jews, who the Muslims stole it from. That's what we're up against, is two massive false doctrines, and then you throw the Catholics into the mix, and then you throw the heathens into the mix, and that's about, if there's 9 billion people in the world or 8 billion people, that you're talking about I don't know, 95% of the people in the world that are going to hate us, and we have to try to tell them the truth, and they're going to want to kill us. And the only way you're not going to die is because when they try to chop your head off, all of a sudden your neck turns into ivory like it did for Moses. And that's why I named this video Faith. Do you have that kind of faith? Do you have that kind of faith to stand up against giants? It's disheartening sometimes, but that's what we have to do. Barnabas 4:3. The last offense is at hand, concerning which the scriptures speaketh, as Enoch saith, For to this end the master hath cut the seasons and the days short, that his beloved might hasten and come to his inheritance. And it says here Jesus is gonna, so it's saying Enoch prophesied that they're gonna cut the seasons, that Jesus is gonna cut the seasons and the days short for us, for the elect. So Danny's so if you this is a perfect time to share this. I wasn't going to share it, but I'm just going to share this with whoever's listening right now. I don't know if Tasha's on here, but Tasha's a listener, and she's a friend of mine, and I talk to her almost every day on the phone. And she's a mother of three, a single mother of three in Baltimore, Maryland. And we talk about just everything all the time. And she follows those 2 commandments that I told you. And last night when I was just about to wake up from sleeping, you know, when you dream the most vivid dreams right before you wake up. And I'm not predicting anything, guys. This is just what happened in my dream. I don't know what it means. I'm just telling you what I heard in my dream. So just hear me out. When I was a little kid, when I used to drive to Salem Christian School, where I went to school in Salem, New Hampshire, which is where one of the Stonehenge's things are, those little setups. So Salem is actually named after Jerusalem, so it's probably why there's a Stonehenge thing there. But the church was named Salem Christian School, and the principal of that school, Mrs. Cody, she went to the church where the pastor was, the Rockingham Christian Church, where I said to the pastor, I thought Enoch and Elijah were the 2 witnesses. Why did people say Moses is? And he didn't have an answer for me. So on the way to this school, there's a road. It's a multiple 10 entrance intersection on Route 28, which is the most drug trafficked road in America. It goes right into Lawrence, Massachusetts, and cuts this way down into New Hampshire. You have to cross over that road to get, and there's a huge gas station right here. In my dream, I was crossing over that intersection, and I was coming down the hill, and I heard Tasha's voice in my head, and it said this. And it was like not her earthly voice. It was like a spiritual voice, and it said, we only have 2 years left. So like make it count, basically. That's what she said. So I'm not saying that is going to happen. And 2 years could be 2 years and 3 months. It could be 2 years and 5 months. It could be 2 years and 6 months. I have no idea. I was telling you what it said. And I don't know if you have felt this lately, but I have felt something different in the world. And sort of felt like I don't think it has to do with COVID. I don't think it has to be with them putting us in our homes for so long and being trapped away. Because to be honest, I love being stuck at home. I love it. Just being honest, I'm a loner. I don't like going out anyway. So you see, I make hiking sticks. I mean, I'm fine with being locked away. But it feels like time has sped up or something. It feels like there's something besides like 5G or 4G or whatever they're doing. It feels like time is going by faster. Yes, it does. It feels like a different spirit. It feels like there's something else happening in the realm that we live in. So I don't know. I was told 2 years of my dream last night. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I don't know, because that would put us like chronologically in times that I don't know about it. I'm answering Brent's question. But yeah, I feel like, Francesca said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know what it is. And I wouldn't say this unless my dad said this to me. He said it feels like something is different. Like a few days a week now, it feels like there's just something different, weird, like a weird sensation of some kind. I don't know what it is, and I can't put my finger on it, but it's not normal. And all these people on TikTok and other places are saying that we entered a dimensional shift and we're really in the year 2019, and that's why it skips a year and all this. I don't know. I don't know that. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I'm telling you about my dream last night, and I'm not telling you that it's factually going to happen. I just am telling you what I heard in my dream. And not that long ago, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, I was dead asleep. I had just fallen asleep, and I heard an audible voice as loud as I've ever heard anything before. God just said my name, loud. Jared, like that. And I was like, boom, just like, I don't do this. I just literally like sat, like, I went like this. I went like, boom, sat up like that, straight up. And so after that, I kept saying to God, like, God, please don't tell me that you called me and I'm not chosen or something. Because I didn't answer you back because I didn't know if it was you or not. But just, so, I don't know. Me and God talk like that to each other sometimes. So, but, I haven't had any prophetic dreams in a while. And so to have a dream last night where that happened, it was just interesting because I've been asking God to tell me, like, what do you want me to do? You used to talk to me in my dreams all the time, but then I keep going back to the prayer that I had the other night where God is praying. He's just praying right now. And sometimes when you don't hear from the Lord, it's not that, he's not trying to talk to you. It's just that, this is what he keeps saying to me when I ask him that. It's that he doesn't have any instruction for me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like when you're first learning and your boss is up your rear end all the time, and and then once they stop doing that, you're looking at them like, yeah, do you need something? What do you want me to do? And they're like, no, I was just walking by because I don't have to tell you to do anything anymore because you're doing a great job. And I'm not saying like, I'm doing a great job. I'm just saying like that's what he keeps telling me because I'm asking him, what do you want me to do besides what I'm doing? And he doesn't really say to do anything different. So I'm just telling you, these are my private conversations with God, but I'm just, maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you feel like you haven't heard from God, because I've heard this from a couple people. And answering Brent's question, and the dream didn't tell me if it was 2 years for me or 2 years for everyone else. But if it was Tasha, I say Tasha because that's how it's spelled. But if Tasha was telling me like it's 2 years left, she's telling me like she'll be here too. So if she's a Christian and I'm a Christian, then we'll be here too. I'm not saying that, maybe you think you're going to get raptured tomorrow, But if you heard the dream I just played last night's show, the girl said that we are going to be here during CERN blowing up and the demons are going to be on the earth. And she's not the only one that said that. Jesus is Lord said that we were going to be here during the time when the demons are here. If you read the book of the Bee, it says we're going to be here when the giants are released from the north. If you read the book of the Bee, it says that there's righteous people on the earth while the Muslims take over and torture the people that are bad Christians, that aren't following God's ways. So, you know, can you believe that we get taken out of here before that? I don't think any of us really know, honestly. I'd like to go right now, like I said. I would love to go right now. But is it going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just telling you what happened in my dream. You know, I don't know. You know, Jesus says, pray that you be found worthy to escape all these things. And I told you, I've had a dream where, and this is the one where I touched a lion, I petted a baby lion on my lap, and when I woke up, I could feel its fur on my hand. Like, no, legit. I could feel, like, what it felt like on my hand. I could smell its fur on my hand. Like that. That's how real it was. Like, I was, like, still awake, and I could feel the texture of the dream. And, like I said, we were on the ocean. We were on Noah's Ark, like as if it was a party boat, like, you know what I'm saying, like you're out with your family, you're just on a boat, you know. There was a little deck on the back where you could get in and out of the boat. We were on the ocean on little raft float things, just hanging out, and all of a sudden the sun was going down, and I could feel there was something coming up from the ocean. And then all of a sudden we got out of the water because I knew it was going to be dangerous. We got in the boat, and inside the boat there were like angels, like that looked like nurses, and they were like taking care of all of us, and we were just sitting there quietly in little groups, all these people around a giant like track in Noah's Ark. And the baby lion walked right up to me, sat right on my lap, but it was like a baby lion, but it was like a full grown baby lion with a huge mane, and I just was petting it like this. And I knew in that moment that God was going to keep us safe during all the stuff that's going to happen. And if you hear the dream, and I'll try to find it right now, if you hear the dream, that's what I think Lachlan had asked for it. But if you hear the dream, the girl says that we're going to be here for the demon attacks and stuff like that. Jesus is Lord. He got rid of the dream. He got rid of the dream that the video that has 30 prophetic dreams on it. I have it still. It talks about how there's zombies coming upon the earth, and you don't have to, I don't believe necessarily Nostradamus's predictions and stuff like that, but Nostradamus said all these different things that were going to happen that have actually come true because he used scrying, which is magic, to find stuff out. And just like the Simpsons predict stuff that actually happened and stuff, they predict the rapture in the Simpsons. And Nostradamus said that in 2021, which is what we're living, that there's going to be a zombie outbreak. And if you haven't seen the videos of it, in Africa, there's people running down the street, and they're being the police are being attacked by zombies. You don't have to believe that if you don't want to, but there's people that take bath salts that turn into zombies, and they start eating people's faces off. It's in one of Destiny Lab's songs. Crazy people that might eat your face. I wonder if we're living in the end of days. It's not like that crazy to think of. This stuff is happening in real life. They're injecting people with fallen angel DNA. These people are dying. How do you know that they're not going to get buried and then come back to life when they trigger something in 5G or something? You don't know that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying you don't know that. There's a lot of things we don't know. And if you don't prepare for, you know, things like that happening, just thinking about like sometimes people think that they have stuff prepared, and they're really not prepared. Yeah, you won't see that on CNN or Fox. And I would rather just be ready. Like some people, like one time there was like a hurricane, and these people didn't even have a flashlight. So they had to go to their neighbors to borrow a flashlight. How the heck do you not have a flashlight? Think about it. Think about what you have. Do you have something? Like, literally, everybody that's listening to me right now, every single person that's on here right now, I don't want you to tell me. I'm just saying, think of it. For every person in your house right now, for every single person in your house, do you have something, a combat, hand-to-hand combat weapon that if a mob came down the street right now and broke all your windows and all your doors, would you have a hand-to-hand combat weapon for every person in your house to protect yourself? Do you have a shield? Like, if you've ever been to jail, when they come into your cell, they come 6 deep with shields, and they're gonna beat the crap out of you because you flushed your Bic razor down the toilet. That's what they're gonna beat you up for, and then they're gonna give you a charge, which could be 2 years, because you could commit attempted murder on a guard with a tiny little one razor blade thing. So think about that for a sec. If 6 people came in your house, like, 6 deep, like in a line, with shields to kill you and your family, do you have something to protect yourself against something like that? If the answer is no, pots and pans actually is a good thing. You should think that way. Think of what you have. That's my point. It doesn't matter if you have them. It matters. Think about where these items are. Yes, I understand that mindset as well, and that was a good point. I don't care, just let them kill me. But what if they're zombies is what I'm saying. What if people become zombies? Because if you think about what is in these documents and stuff like that, they're saying that if a zombie bites you, that you could become a zombie, and who knows if that's true. I'm not saying it is, but who knows if it's true. What if they bite you and their fallen angel DNA turns you into a zombie or something like that? I'm just saying, what if? I'm just saying, protect your family and yourselves. That's all I'm saying. Nobody really knows. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this video. Oh, 1 second. Oh man, this is funny. So anyway, hold on a second, guys. So this kid right here. So this kid is always preaching. Right here, this kid is always preaching on the right. He's saying that all this stuff, gay stuff about God, and saying that God accepts gays and stuff. Watch what happens.
Watch the Lord show up. Watch the guy's face when he did. I'd be scared too if I were you, my guy.
Called the creatively maladjusted. Maybe minorities, sexual and gender minorities, have something to teach the church about dying to self, about new life, about... That is not a sign of God's judgment, okay?
Yeah, it was a sign of God's judgment. Hold on, I'm trying to find the other one. Oh, let's watch this 1 second.
Bro, like, and he was as he was talking to me, he was like, what did he say? He said, my son.
Yeah, it was like he was trying to welcome
Yeah, he was
you.
welcoming me, like he was saying like my son. And after that, all I heard was a voice saying, "It's not your time yet." That's when I woke back up. Like the devil really wanted me in his kingdom. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this stuff is scary, bro. Like, and so many people was burning. Like every time, like he had his chosen people. Where like the devil, he'll be like, he's staying with me, like, and he's gonna stand a fire. Like he was talking to me, he was kicking people into the fire and laughing like he's such a like. And then his voice is beautiful. Like it's not what people tell y'all like the devil is. Like I'm literally sitting face to face with the devil.
Yeah, he appeared to.
Bro, like.
That's a 4-part thing on TikTok. You can watch the rest of it. I might do all 4 parts tomorrow, but I know you guys probably want to get out of here. It's almost time, so hold on 1 second. But that kid died and saw hell. It happens all the time. People see hell. Hold on, I gotta find this. I don't know which one it was. I was talking about. So this guy right here, he's actually trying to be the mayor of New York or something like that. His former Democratic presidential candidate, Andrew Yang, proposed a barcode to prove corona vaccination. You know how many people got made fun of back in the day because they said the barcodes on packaging would be put on human beings? I know people that have this, like, saying that that's what the mark of the beast will be, and this guy is pushing for a barcode vaccination proof to be on human beings. And actually, it's weird that he says that because the code on the barcode is 666. That's what it is. 1 second. Thought it was like right here. Oh man. Anyways, I can't find it, Lachlan. I'll try to find it. No. Yeah, I can't find it, sorry. Thought I could. But yeah, if you watch my show from yesterday, it's on the show from yesterday. And the girl just talks about how what she said is weird. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Danny. What she said was weird because I've been saying this not even knowing it for so long. I was like, something is gonna happen. I said this forever. I've said this, and I don't even know why. I said that'll be the catalyst, because Robert Farrell says this all the time. There's gonna be some type of mechanism that causes, and I'm not saying this is what his mechanism is. I'm just saying when he says mechanism, it reminds me of this, is that the thing that's gonna change the world to where there's gonna be a literal demonic battle on this earth, where there's demons on the earth. The Bible says the bottomless pit will be opened. They've done demonic rituals where they show that CERN is a portal and that the demons will come out of CERN. That they do that. Like, hold on. Yeah, see, these are the names of it. Bizarre ceremony opens world's longest tunnel, and there's all these people in like hazmat suits and stuff, like, or worker man suits, like doing these weird like rituals all over the place. And then like look at this. This is supposed to be CERN. This is the portal that's being opened. Like, what are these people even doing? See? Look, this is the portal opening. There's supposed to be an art exhibit. Look at this is the Baphomet right here. This is a big satanic ritual for CERN. See? Those are the scarab beetles. If you don't know what that is, the scarab beetle is our how our bodies relate to the sun and all the power that comes from the sun. That's what the scarab beetle is. Look at that. This is weird crap. Talking head presidents. One of them looks like Joe Biden, dancing around with a clock of when it's going to happen. Look at how time is just going, flying by. All of a sudden, time is going like this. Look at. And all these people are all clapping. They don't even know what they're clapping about. Or maybe some of them do. But legit. What in the heck is that about? Like, straight up, what? Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, that specific one. It was 2018, March 14th, 2018. That's what the girl said. CERN is going to explode, and then the demons are going to be on the earth. And that's what God says is going to happen in the end times in Revelation, that the bottomless pit will be open, and there's going to be demons on the earth. And I've been dreaming this for a long time. There's a lot of people that have been dreaming this for a long time. And this girl said that she saw it, and then Jesus protects you even when you're going from your house to the store. Demons try to attack you and you're protected. I mean, this is even in horror movies, this kind of stuff. That movie, A Quiet Place or whatever, where you have to be quiet or the demons find you and stuff. It's all these people. Even my dad was just talking today about the movie They Live, where you put on the glasses and you can see the demons that are really look like humans, which is the reptilians. Yeah, it's just crazy. So anyways, I really think that that's going to happen. I think CERN is going to blow up, and all of a sudden our whole reality is going to change overnight. And I think that that's going to happen right after we have all this stuff happening in the United States, where it's like utterly destroyed from chaos, from the inside out, just destroyed. And, you know, Biden is... Just think about how many hunters there are. Think about for a second, not patriots, not any of that stuff. Just think about just hunters in America, that their entire hobby is guns. Just think about that. And Biden is trying to make it so they're going to take your guns away. What is a person that has guns going to do when you try to take them away? Just like a child would do with a toy. They're going to fight you over it to not have you take them away. Never mind all the people that support the Second Amendment. What he is trying to do is cause a civil war. And I've said that a million times, because what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is that they know that our military is not going to fight the American people. So how do you do that? You bring in the United Nations. And that's what I've dreamed, is that Obama rules the United Nations and he brings in outside soldiers to take away the guns of America. And that could easily happen if we lose power and there's a tsunami attack or any type of thing like that. And I don't know if you've seen this, but Russia has a bomb that can cause a tsunami. There is an actual bomb that they have that can cause a tsunami. And I don't know if you ever saw the speech where the Russian person comes to America, the like dignitary or whatever you call him, the person that like comes on behalf of Russia. He comes to our country and he's having a conversation with Obama, and Obama says, I can't do anything till my second term. Maybe he was talking about his third term and he just said second term, because this is really Obama's third term, not Biden's first term. So anyways, Ambassador, thank you, Dorothy. Dorothy gets 2 points tonight. But I'm going to end up sending you another present soon. So we're going to do a show tomorrow, a show on Sunday, and we'll do two contests, like two different can't think of the word, two different like sections where I ask questions so people can get points, because we haven't done points a lot lately, and I want people to have a chance to win a prize for the week. So when that happens, once we end on Sunday, we'll make Sunday the last day for the competition for the week, and then whoever has the most points at the end will win whatever you wanted to win for a prize. You just pick the prize. You can pick whatever you want. Thank you guys for coming tonight. I hope everybody learned something interesting. Sorry I couldn't find that video, but it's in the show from last night. I just forget where. But so God bless you all. Let's pray, and then I'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. Thank you for everyone here. Please cover us all with your blood and keep us safe this week. Please be with all of my friends and my family that are here with us tonight and their children. And I just pray that you please protect us and give us the faith to move mountains, Lord. Please be with all the people that are suffering in other countries and they're being persecuted for their faith in you, Lord. I pray that you give them strength, and I pray that there will be somebody left alive that could pray for us when we go through our trials, Lord. I thank you that you died on the cross for our sins, and I pray that anybody listening right now might come to know you and might understand that you can change anyone's life, and that you truly do love us, and that you don't want anyone to go to hell, but it is a real place, and the devil would love to have our souls. But I pray that you strengthen us against such things, and that we might be able to preach the gospel before it's too late. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon. Take care.